unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Canelo Alvarez tempted to fight Ryota Murata in Japan. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Head over to Patreon, link in the description. Also, YouTube channel member. Hit the join button by the subscribe button. I will be shifting some of the content over there. Link in the description, Sky Sports. They have an interview. Thought this was of interest. You guys see this, a picture of Canelo with the Japanese flag behind him. Says the superstar tempting Canelo to Japan, right? So, fresh article they have. Says Saul Canelo Alvarez tempted to Japan by Ryota Murata, a LeBron James type of figure and national icon. This is getting real interesting, right? Ryota Murata is the subject of fascination in Japan, a superstar who shines so bright that he is tempting Saul Canelo Alvarez to the land of the rising sun. It would be a remarkable decision of Mexico's Canelo, one of boxing's biggest stars, to have the first fight outside of his home country or the U.S. in a place where the local media admits he is largely unknown, right? Japan has its own boxing star, Murata, a handsome and charismatic, I don't know why they had to add that, but whatever, a handsome hardcore rapper, but he's handsome and charismatic personality who frequently appears on daytime TV shows and enjoys this type of adulation, from his countrymen that the Mexicans bestow upon Canelo. These two forces, heroes in their homes, but anonymous in each other's, are on a lucrative collision course. Canelo's promoter, Golden Boy Prez, Eric Gomez, told Sky Sports, quote, Canelo, he wants to fight abroad, and we have discussed with him fighting in Japan, a homecoming in Mexico, and the UK. He has considered all of those options, and before he retires, he will fight abroad. It's all about his brand. He wants to become a more international star, not just fighting in the United States. He wants to become an even bigger star than he is now. He has fans all over the world, and he wants to build on that. Murata's name was a surprise addition to the list of possible opponents for Canelo earlier this year, adding to Britain's world champions Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Smith. He offers something unique. Murata is, quote, one of the most recognized individual sport athletes in the country, according to Sky Sports source, above the sumo wrestlers who compete in Japan's national sport. For Canelo, Murata offers a key to unlocking the Asian market. Right, and that's him on his page, Instagram. 6,000 likes. Murata won Olympic gold in 2012, but crucially did so as a middleweight. Japan hadn't won boxing gold since bantamweight in 1964, but Murata, as the nation's heaviest ever Olympic champion, was also their 100th gold medalist. He became a source of wonder for his size, and celebrity was born. A book lover with a bachelor's degree in quick wit, a documentary about Murata's life was a hit, and his fights were broadcast to a massive audience. Quote, he understands what his fans and public are looking for, a source in Japan said. A second source added, he used to be a badass when he was younger, in his teens, but he is now known as an intelligent person. It is hard to tell if Murata enjoys his fame or not. He does not try to make himself look bigger than who he is. I don't think he wants to be a rock star. He got into pro boxing. which he had once denied he would do because he thought it would give him the biggest success in his life. His nature as a competitor drove him. He certainly knew that he was a rare, heavier weight class Japanese boxer and wanted to achieve something not many Japanese had done by winning a title, which he has eventually done. Right? Bob Arum's Top Rank sensed an opportunity and snapped Murata up to their promotional outfit, but his American debut was underwhelming. He outpointed Gunnar Jackson, then said, quote, "I could not respond to expectations and it was a lame performance. I'm ashamed by my weak boxing." A controversial split decision in his first world title fight went against him in favor of Hassan Endam. Such was the dispute, the WBA suspended 2 of the judges involved and apologized to Murata. The Japanese hero won the rematch by stoppage in Tokyo and reacted, quote, "I thought that the fans were going to desert me, saying there's no way a guy like this could become a world champion, but they still came out and want to express my utmost appreciation." He picked up the regular WBA middleweight. At the time, Triple G held the super version, plus the IBF and the WBC. Says the humble Murata. This is a long-winded article, but I'm trying to get through it. It's literally very hard to get through this. It's like they just adding stuff on. Like they said Murata had a documentary about his life. I'd rather watch that than read the rest of this. But, you know, I'm going to do it for the fans. Actually, let me do some shameless plug. ESPN Plus, link in the description. Sign up to ESPN Plus, home of a lot of original content, behind the scenes, archive fights. They got exclusives, 30 for 30. You don't want to miss out on that. Link in the description, and it does help the channel in a phenomenal way when you guys click on that ESPN Plus link. ESPN Plus, you can get it as a standalone, or you can bundle it, ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. Get all 3 apps, one price, $12.99 a month. And again, it helps the channel. Now, back to this article. The humble Murata said, quote, "Boxing lovers will know there's a strong middleweight champion than me. There's a stronger middleweight champion than me out there. I'll try my best to beat him." I don't even know what that means. Bob Arum's dream was to create an Asian mega fight between Murata and Golovkin, who has Korean heritage, but more disaster struck. Murata was shocked 2018 by Rob Brandt in what was supposed to be a Las Vegas showcase fight. "I'm really bad against boxers who are quick on their feet. I took a lot of blows," Murata said. "It's the first time I've taken such a beating." He turned down his right to a rematch and considered retiring, but eventually a second fight was arranged in Japan. Quote, "He's like a LeBron James type of figure over there," Brandt said. "When we went to the press conference, there were more people than were at some of my early pro fights." Murata knocked out Brandt to reclaim the WBA last year. Canelo holds the WBA Super. Quote, "I don't believe Canelo's name is known by the general public in Japan," a source said. "Everybody knew Mike Tyson back in the day, but not Canelo or any other global stars in the sport today." Floyd Mayweather won an exhibition fight against Nasukawa in Japan 18 months ago, but Sky Sports sources believe the locals had little idea of who he was. That's cap, bro. That's cap. They know who Floyd is. Man, come on, bro. Who wrote this article, bro? He said the Sky Sports source believes the locals had little idea who he was. No, because I seen they did a press conference. They knew who Floyd was. There was 1 million people taking pictures, and that was pretty big, you know. Floyd, man, whatever. Everybody knew Michael Jordan, but LeBron James is not as famous among the public, although LeBron is probably as good as Jordan, the source compared. Yeah, I don't know who this source is. It says, but among the boxing fans here, it would be a big event if Murata fights against Canelo at the Tokyo Dome, at which no boxing matches have been hosted since Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas in 1990. The second source added, quote, "It will be a big event, but the market is limited to boxing fans. However, people will learn about Canelo when the press conference is held. Canelo is not famous yet. I would say Golovkin is more famous." Yeah, I don't know who these sources are, but whatever. In general, people don't know boxers outside of Japan. Murata and Inoue, the 3-weight world champion and pound for pound knockout artists, are as famous as Japanese boxers could possibly become in their country. How the Rona impacts Canelo's plans remains to be seen. Billy Joe Saunders, yada yada. Canelo has his eye on Asia, and Murata is a prime target for a fascinating clash. Listen, they capping. They saying they don't know who. The source doesn't believe that they know who Floyd is. All right. Anyway, why did Floyd do numbers globally versus Conor McGregor if nobody knew who he was? Anywho, listen, man, this is not a fight that I'm really stoked for. This Canelo is going to be in such a bad position, as is DAZN, if that is his next fight, because you have to put this in perspective. This is just my perspective on the situation. If he fights Murata in September, we're coming off of riots, looting, and a pandemic, right? So let's say you go to Japan. People have been starved out. We haven't really had boxing. And that's the first fight that Canelo comes back to. Beyond that, Ryota Murata, whoever wrote that article, I don't know if they were trying to do a great job of making the fight non-sellable, but whether that was the case or not, that's what they did. You listen to the article and it says like, oh, more tragedy struck when Murata lost to Rob Brandt, and they're quoting him and they're saying like, oh, I didn't do good and I've never been beat up like this. And they're talking about how he lost to Hassan Indam. It says he outpointed in his debut. His American debut was underwhelming. He outpointed Gunnar Jackson. Then he said, I could not respond to expectations and it was a lame performance. So if you were trying to hype up Ryota Murata and Canelo, you didn't do a good job, whoever wrote this article, because you're talking about how he said his American debut was a lame performance and how he was supposed to have a showcase fight in Vegas with Rob Brandt and he got beat, and considered retiring. These are all reasons why if Canelo fights him, then he's going to get a lot of flack. It is what it is. He could do whatever he wants. They're looking at it from a money angle. There's a lot of money in Japan. Certain places have a lot of money, and there's a lot of wealthy people in Japan, and they're saying he's a real big star. But this doesn't help Canelo's legacy. He's already fought guys who are more revered. Golovkin's a silver medalist, and he was more, at least, pumped up and revered than Ryota Murata. You're taking a person who's really popular only in their home front, and if he fights Murata, the people it's not going to be a good look, people. I want you guys in the comment section, let me know what you guys think. But Billy Joe Saunders, it's not going to be good, people. That's just all I can say. Billy Joe Saunders, he's not coming off of a good performance, and I still think that's a better fight. That fight will be accepted more than Ryota Murata. Ryota Murata just seems like a money grab. You're just trying to go over and get a huge site fee or something like that. But I don't think that's going to be a great fight. You got to look at DAZN. DAZN, they have DAZN Japan, so maybe it could sell over there. But I don't know Ryota Murata. He might be tied to another network in Japan. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? But as far as DAZN USA, how are fights like this gonna help you revive your business after months of downtime and being out of commission? This is a paid site, and you look at, they said they're gonna announce the DAZN UK. Is that gonna be a popular fight amongst anybody in DAZN UK? I could understand if he was fighting Caleb Smith or Floyd Mayweather, a global star, or Billy Joe Saunders even, because those are UK guys. But who outside of Japan is really checking for and or wanting to see this? And then to make matters worse, that article is saying they don't even really know who Canelo is in Japan, right? So they would be going just for Ryota Murata. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, I haven't seen no type of buzz for that particular fight. I know here in America, I feel like I could speak, from the American boxing perspective, it's just simply put not a big fight. The guy has lost to Hassan Indam, and he's also lost to Rob Brandt. How are you going to sell this fight, especially coming off of, like I said, protests and riots and looting and a pandemic and a more sparse economy? How are you going to sell that fight? So you could flee and go to Japan, get the site fee, maybe do DAZN Japan, but nowhere else do I see this fight as being the one people are checking for. And if Canelo fights him, which he didn't say, but Golden Boy keeps mentioning this, there's no one else that I could see him fighting in Japan other than Ryota Murata. Because why would he fight Golovkin in Japan? You see what I'm saying? Most likely they're trying to make him a star, and they just said that Canelo's not even a big star, so rightfully so, he would probably have to fight Ryota Murata, which his name has been linked to. And I just don't think it's that type of fight that's going to lure people in and get subscribers for life or long-term subscribers. I don't think it's a great fight. The other issue is Ryota Murata is at 160. Canelo, he just fought at 175. He might go back down to 168. So Ryota Murata, I mean, what's the point of watching him fight at a catchweight? What's the point of him moving up to 68 when he has 2 losses at 160? He hasn't fought nobody like Charlo or Jacobs. We haven't seen Ryota Murata. He lost to Rob Brandt, who's a solid fighter, but most people would say Charlo is at a higher level or more revered, right? Hassan Indam, same thing. So he doesn't have a stellar resume in terms of Ryota Murata. I just don't see much interest in that fight outside of the Asian market because they're saying he's the LeBron James. It seems like a reach. So good luck to DAZN. We'll see if they decide to pull the trigger on that particular fight. But if they do, this is kind of what Canelo has been criticized for. Listen, it's like Canelo and his team, I feel like, are envious of Floyd Mayweather, like his handlers and promoters, and they're trying to almost make Canelo the next Mayweather and have him revered. He's popular, don't get that twisted, but they're trying to make him the next Mayweather where he's banking the bucks and making these big events, and that's why they made him the franchise champion. But the way they have went about it, it's nothing like Mayweather. Because Mayweather, when did Mayweather ever become a franchise champion, right? The other thing is Mayweather never really had to rely on judges to win the fights. And they're close fights. Castillo, Maidana, Floyd won, right? But beyond that, that's 2 fights. We could think of a handful of Canelo fights where the judging didn't seem adequate. The Trout fight, Lara fight, Triple G won. Some people even say Triple G 2. You know, things like that. Mayweather, one person had it a draw. So the way they're going about trying to make Canelo a superstar and like bigger and bigger, it's just not the same. You know, it's not the same. I think Canelo's popular, but since he's been with DAZN, his popularity is really waning. And I don't think a fight like a Ryota Murata will bring him out of that, you know, and make him bigger than anything he is right now. How do you fight guys like Julio Cesar Chavez, son of a legend, Gennady Golovkin twice, Mayweather, Lara, you know, you knocked out Kirkland, 2 million people were watching, and then become bigger worldwide and internationally by fighting Ryota Murata, and really one region probably wants to see that fight, and that's the Asian markets, because it's an Asian fighter, homegrown fighter, and they want to support him. The article said they don't even really know who Canelo is. You see what I'm saying? And that's why Canelo, he's just not the next Mayweather. It's just what it is. Skillfully, business decisions. He makes money, all that stuff. That's good. But just look at the way this makes him look. Fighting Kovalev, who was considered past it. Kovalev all of a sudden looked nothing like he looked in the Anthony Yarde fight. There's guys like Charlo. There's guys like Andrade. David Benavidez called out Canelo. Canelo's team said Artur Beterbiev is an easier fight than Kovalev, yet they're only willing to fight Kovalev, and they haven't fought or made an offer to Beterbiev, Caleb Plant, all these great names. Bivol said he's a champion at 75. He said he'll come down to 168. And you want to fight Ryota Murata, who's at 160, who's allegedly a LeBron James level star in Japan, but nowhere else is he that level star. So you have to kind of consider all your markets. So why would you, from a business perspective, if this does come off, why would you abandon the markets where Canelo is established, like Mexico and the United States, big markets, and put on a fight that those two regions where he's already established probably don't care too much about that particular fight? You think people in Mexico would rather watch Canelo versus David Benavidez or Ryota Murata? You think people in America rather watch you fight Caleb Plant, Benavidez, Charlo, Andrade, or Ryota Murata? So these are bad decisions. Again, I understand business, I understand money, I understand there's probably a heavy site fee, and it might be a big event over there, but globally, this is actually hurting Canelo, in my opinion, if he goes out there and fights him. So it seems like a watered down, I guess, Mayweather blueprint that they're trying to utilize with Canelo, and it's just not coming off of the same. When Floyd had big events, which were a lot of his fights in the Money Mayweather era, they just were big events. When Floyd fought Canelo, it just was what it was. It was a big event. Cinco de Mayo, Mexico was tuning in, the UK was tuning in, Americans were tuning in. Same thing with the De La Hoya fight in Mayweather. Same thing with the Cotto fight, the Shane Mosley fight. Same thing with the Pacquiao fight, obviously, set records, right? Same thing with all these fights. It just was what it was. These were just simply put big fights, right? You didn't have to force it. The Conor McGregor fight, it was a big fight. Nothing had to be forced. This is like a forced big fight because you have it like a big fight is a big fight is a big fight. Conor McGregor, he had a lot of American fans, but he also has Ireland that a lot of people would be rocking with him. Plus Mayweather has American fans and international fans. That's why it became a big event and a big fight. This is a reach. This is a force because they're saying Canelo is unknown in Japan and Ryota Murata is unknown in the markets that Canelo is popping in, like America and Mexico. So that's not a big fight. Conor McGregor is a superstar. Floyd Mayweather is a superstar. So it's like, again, almost like a watered down, a very watered down version of a Mayweather blueprint. You're trying to make the events rather than do what's right for your career and legacy in boxing, but it just seems really watered down. That's the best way to put it. You're trying to create this hype beast to make it look like a fight like that is this massive fight, but it really isn't. It might be popping in Japan, but then you gotta look at the time zone difference. What time would it come on in the States? How many people in the States even care about that? And the reason why DAZN should be concerned with that is Japan only represents a certain portion of this world. You're in these different territories and different markets, so you have to do what's probably best for the gander, not an individual goose. You see what I'm saying? You got to do what benefits the most of your markets. And I don't think a Canelo fight versus Murata is really big anywhere else outside of Japan. So it's like these really makeshift bad attempts at making mega events. I really, if you guys feel differently, I would love to hear how Ryota Murata with 2 losses to guys like Rob Brandt and Hassan Ndam, who my dude Peter Quillen beat years ago. And y'all said he ain't fought nobody when Peter Quillen beat him and knocked him down a gang of times. Guys like Rob Brandt and stuff like that, who lost the World Boxing Super Series, but was able to beat Murata the first time that they fought and lose the second. It's like they're trying to force a direction, just like they did with the Kovalev situation. They try to force you to believe that he's a champion in a different weight class because he's fighting Kovalev, but you're not even really a champion. You know, you by technicality you are, but at 168 we know you haven't really beat anybody. You haven't beat Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, the serious guys, the guys that are, you know, looking destructive and super good. So it's just the Canelo, the game plan that they're utilizing for his strategy of getting bigger, I don't see it working. It's like he's really truly losing fans and losing star power and appeal, and I can only see a Japan fight with Ryota Murata pushing him further to that. I don't even think the Billy Joe Saunders fight is huge, but then you at least have the UK market, which is a known boxing market. They know who Billy Joe Saunders is, and the UK boxing fans know who Canelo is. But this article just told you that in Japan, Murata is like a LeBron James, but they said Canelo is unknown. You know, he's unheard of. So it's going to be hard to make a fight where it's that type of one-way street, where both guys, it's not going to be a big event where both guys don't have a name. Nobody knows Canelo in Japan, and then the same could be said for Murata in America. So these just simply put aren't big events, and I don't know if that can. I don't know if that can exist for DAZN right now, coming off of this hiatus. We'll see. You know, we'll see how it plays off. I guess they're just banking on the money and the site fee and licensing fee and maybe DAZN Japan, but I really don't see that as being a fight that is going to catapult Canelo. I think he's going to get a lot of flack for it. So we'll see what happens, and if he fights Murata, let me know what you guys think of that fight. I just think there's a lot of better options like Charlo, Andrade, but we've been saying this, and Canelo hasn't fought him. And this is why Canelo has received criticism from even Mexican legends. People always try to make it look like these Mexican legends, Nacho Beristain and Juan Manuel Marquez and Eric Morales and Julio Cesar Chavez and David Fetelson with ESPN Deportes, you know, they try to make it look like these guys are just hating on Canelo, but this is his own doing because he keeps doing it. Him and his team keep doing it. If he fights Ryota Murata, then they're absolutely continuing to do what people have criticized him for. So if you're not looking to change it and work on continued fights that where a guy has a chance and big events, but also good fights, then you're going to continue to get the same criticism. That's my piece. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We Unpack, coming to you live. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.